Isang makabatang araw po sa inyong lahat. We thank the Philippines Communication Society for inviting us and for this opportunity to present the guide for media practitioners on the reporting and coverage of children. Before we begin, let me just briefly introduce yung Council for the Welfare of Children. Basically po, the CWC is an attached agency of the Department of Social Welfare and Development and the primary government agency responsible for coordinating efforts on child rights, protection, and welfare in the Philippines. As part of its mandate, we work to ensure that children's rights are upheld, not only through policies and programs, but also through responsible communication and the way children are represented in society. Every day po, no, we encounter stories involving children, whether they are victims of abuse, exploitation, violence, or children in conflict with the law. Behind every headline is a child whose rights, dignity, privacy, and future deserve protection. Today, together with my teammate Ms. Julian Kisao, we are honored to present a guide for media practitioners on the reporting and coverage of children. This guide promotes responsible, ethical, and child-sensitive reporting, guided by one simple principle. Child comes first, the story second. Let me just repeat that. Child comes first, the story second. To start off, here is the link of our guide. Its purpose, I'm sorry, if you're you can scan this QR code for you to be able to scan our guide. If you're unable to scan naman, you may simply visit cwc.gov.ph. Click on the resources tab and you'll find the guide listed as the first resource. We've also sent the exact link via this Zoom chat. Okay. So today, Miss Jules and I will walk you through the guide, its purpose, um, development process, coverage, and structure. We will also discuss the five key principles, and lastly, the key considerations for specific groups. So, in order for us to go through the contents of the guide, it is important to understand why it was developed. The media plays a powerful role in shaping public perception and influencing how society views and treats children. The stories we tell and how we tell them can either reinforce stigma or promote understanding, protection, and respect for children's rights. With this in mind, this guide was developed to help translate one fundamental principle into media practice: the best interest of a child. As defined on the Republic Act number 9344, the best interest of the child refers to the totality of the circumstances and conditions which are most conducive to the survival, protection, and feelings of the security of the child, and most encouraging to the child's physical, psychological, and emotional development. It also means the least detrimental available alternative for safeguarding the growth and development of the child. In other words po, no, every decision we make in telling a child's story should always ask one simple question. Will this protect the child or could it cause further harm? These guidelines are anchored on the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, or UNCRC, and are intended to complement, not replace, the existing journalists' code of ethics. They do not restrict responsible journalism. Instead, they provide additional guidance to help media practitioners and content creators navigate the unique ethical considerations when reporting on children. This guide also hopes to assist media practitioners and social media content creators move beyond using their moral compass towards having clear guidance as they navigate between the exercise of press freedom and deciding on child's welfare. While ethical decisions often begin with our own values and judgment, stories involving children require careful consideration because they involve the balance between the public's right to information, press freedom, and the child's right to protection, privacy, and dignity. The guide does not seek to limit storytelling. Rather, it serves as a practical reference to help ensure that every story involving a child is reported in a responsible, sensitive, and child-centered manner. To discuss the development process, I give the floor to Ms. Jules. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Camille, for that introduction. So we'll proceed with the development process. Once again, I am Julian. The guide was originally developed in 2000 by DOJ through the Committee for the Special Protection of Children. And then later on the year 2008, it was revised. But since then, the landscape has changed significantly. Digital platforms have transformed how children's stories are created and shared, making content more viral and permanent. At the same time, new child protection issues such as OSAEC and CISAM, or online sexual abuse or exploitation of children, and child sexual abuse or exploitation material, formerly known as child pornography, and other evolving child protection laws have reshaped how we safeguard children in media. And recognizing these developments, CWC initiated updating this guide to ensure it remains relevant and responsive to today's media environment. Next, please. Okay, so the development process involved multi-sectoral and participatory processes. So it involved key informant interviews, FGDs, consultation workshops, validation sessions, and we consulted media organizations, government agencies, NGOs, regional child welfare committees, and of course the children themselves. And after that, it had undergone technical review by the CWC Technical Management Group and the CWC Board. So the result is a guide that is practical for media practitioners while remaining grounded in children's rights. Next, please. These are the following organizations and agencies who help materialize the updated version of the guide. Next, we'll talk about the coverage and structure of the guide. So the guide covers both traditional and new media. It is intended for journalists, broadcasters, vloggers, influencers, and even content creators and government information officers. And while this guide covers those in the field of media, we also cover individuals who may not be directly connected to media work, such as parents and members of the general public. Next, let's now look at the 5 principles that guide every decision involving children. Next, please. And overview of the 5 key principles. So at the heart of the guide are the 5 key principles that help us make ethical decisions whenever we create or share stories involving children. These principles are all grounded in one standard, the best interest of the child. So we will all come back to the best interest of the child. And let's look at each one. Let's start with privacy. Privacy. We have to protect the child's identity. So we have to avoid identifying details and then limit specifics in reporting. So halimbawa po, kahit hindi mo sabihin yung pangalan ng bata, pero binanggit mo na siya ay grade 3 student sa isang public school sa Barangay San Miguel na biktima ng abuso, madali pa rin po siyang makikilala ng kanilang komunidad. Next is to collect information responsibly. Kailangan pong kunin lang natin yung mga impormasyon na necessary lang sa anggulo ng inyong storya o sa inyong paksa. And then we have to keep data safe. Huwag po tayo magsisave ng larawan ng mga bata sa personal na cellphone or sa cloud storage na walang sapat na seguridad because we are entrusted with the material. Lastly, we have to be careful when live streaming. Katulad na lamang po, example, kung nasa relief operation ka, tapos may mga batang tumatanggap ng tulong. Dapat po i-ensure natin na hindi sila basta makaka-capture in the background kasi alam naman po natin na ang mga live coverage is hindi siya pwedeng i-edit and nagkakaroon na rin po siya ng digital footprint in the internet. So as much as possible, we discourage live streaming. Next po, with agency. We have to respect the child's agency. So we have to give enough time for the child to be prepared. Katulad na lamang po sa mga ambush interview na ginagawa ng ating mga vlogger or kaya ng ating mga reporter, we have to be cautious because we have to give enough time for the child to be prepared. Hindi po basta hilahin or lalapitan natin sila para magtanong. So bago magsimula yung interview, dapat po makuha po talaga natin yung kanilang assent Sabihin sa bata kung ano yung mga tanong, saan ba ipapalabas itong material na to, at kung ano ba yung purpose ng interview. Next po is to get consent and assent. So alam naman po natin na kailangan talaga na may consent ng magulang bago magkaroon ng interaction ang mga bata sa media. Pero ang ini-emphasize po talaga namin sa guide na ito is yung kanilang assent or yung sariling nilang desisyon. So dito po sa agency, ang ina-emphasize po nito ay isa silang human beings na mayroong individual na desisyon. Pangalawa po is allow child to opt out. Sa amin pong mga media interactions, kapag nag interview po kami ng mga bata, nire-remind po namin sila na at any point of the interview na-feel mo na may discomfort ka or biglang ayaw mo na, we have to respect their decision. And even before the interview, kung sinabi na nila na ayaw nila magpa-interview, is dapat po respetuhin natin yon. And even in the process ng post-production, maaari pong i-edit na yung clips and such or na-publish na and nag-change yung kanilang mind, dapat po irespeto pa rin natin ito. Although, alam naman po natin pag na-publish na is may digital footprint na or nandun na talaga yung record niya, pero we have to still respect the child's decision. And then we have to ensure na meron silang kasamang guardian kapag may ini-interview. Kasi while nire-recognize natin na meron silang sariling desisyon para sa sarili nila, kailangan pa rin po ng mga bata ng guidance ng mga matatanda para malaman nila kung ano yung mabuti para sa kanila. And then we have to consider media exposure only if necessary. Next po, participation. In participation, we have to encourage meaningful participation. Unang-una po, we have to listen to children's voices. Iwasan po natin yung pag-prompt ng mga sagot nila at hayaan silang magbahagi ng kanilang karanasan or yung kanilang mga opinion. We have to conduct risk assessment and tingnan natin kung ito bang bata ito ay nakaranas ng trauma. And then create safe, empowering space. Siguraduhin po natin na ang setting ng interview ay komportable para sa kanila at hindi intimidating. And then seek expert opinion. So, para po magkaroon sila ng meaningful participation, dapat po meron silang, alam nila yung lengguwahe nung nagtatanong, makakapag-interact sila meaningfully, at kung kinakailangan po, makapag-provide sana yung media ng translator para mas makapagpahayag po sila ng kanilang saloobin. And we have to build trust with children din po dahil pwede po natin sabihin na nais naming marinig ang iyong saloobin, hindi namin ipapalabas ang anumang bagay na hindi mo nais. We have to assure the children. And for more information on child participation, you can read the Enhanced Guidebook on Child Participation. Next, please. Dignity. We have to ensure dignified treatment of the children. So halimbawa po, sa halip na gumamit ng close-up photo ng isang bata na umiiyak sa harap ng isang bahay na nasira dahil sa sunog or dahil sa kalamidad, maaaring ipakita na lang po natin yung larawan na siya ay nabigyan na ng intervention kasama yung pamilya niya and empowered siya. Hindi para gawin siyang object of pity para sa sa public. Next po sa sensitivity. Ayan, sensitivity, handle stories with sensitivity. So, bago natin po isama yung panig ng isang bata na naging saksi sa isang krimen, kailangan po natin kumonsulta ng isang child psychologist and kailangan po natin i-assess kung ano pa yung mga additional na kailangan ng mga bata na magiging suporta niya habang siya ay ini-interview. And ina-encourage din po namin sa representation ng children sa media na to use correct terminologies to avoid stigma and discrimination. Katulad na lamang po pag tinawag nating batang palaboy, hindi po ito dapat tinatawag na batang palaboy, kundi children in street situations or kaya disabled child. Ito po is children with disability. So, hindi po natin nililimit sila sa kung ano yung circumstance nila. Nire-recognize natin sila na isa silang buong tao at hindi sila nalilimitahan kung ano yung sitwasyon nila. And then, Sana po lahat ng ating mga vloggers, influencers, and other forms of media ay merong child protection policy or meron po tayong mga sinusunod na kung paano tayo makikipag-interact with child para alam po natin sila ay komportable sa kanilang mga interaction. And isa na lang po as final tip, pag kinakausap po natin yung bata sa isang interview, as much as possible po, hindi po dapat tayo towering over them and we have to talk to them in an eye level. And ngumiti po tayo, gumamit tayo ng mga reassuring words para maramdaman nila na sila ay pinapakinggan at sila ay nire-respeto. Next, please. So, these 5 principles work together. Before publishing any story involving a child, we can simply ask ourselves, am I protecting the child's identity? Has the child genuinely chosen to participate? Have I provided a meaningful opportunity for the child to be heard? Am I telling the story with dignity? And lastly, have I chosen words that protect rather than harm? And we would like to emphasize lang din po sa participation na kapag po kunwaring issue ng bullying, we don't have to interview yung mismong teacher lang and yung ibang staff ng school. We have to consider the opinion of children. Dito po sa CWC and other child rights organization, pinopromote po namin ang participation dahil dapat po merong say ang mga bata about issues na nakakaapekto sa kanila dahil sila po yung nakakaranas nun. And pag nakinig nyo rin po talaga yung perspective and opinion nila, mahahanga din po kayo sa kanila kung gaano sila kagaling. And so, dapat po hindi natin sila i-undermine. Ayan. Next po, Miss Cams. Turning over to Miss Cams.
Mike. Thank you so much, Miss Jules. Now we discuss the key considerations for specific groups in this guide. As you may have observed, no, kung nakita nyo na po yung ating media guide na sinend po namin sa chat box at saka yung naka-QR code kanina. As you may have observed, this guide is directory in nature. It is intended to provide direction and guidance to media practitioners and content creators in navigating the different situations and circumstances involving children. We encourage the media to continue using their professional judgment and moral compass when covering stories involving children. At the same time, the guide provides additional considerations to help ensure that reporting remains child-sensitive, ethical, and aligned with the best interest of the child. In this section po, no, we will discuss the key considerations for both the general and specific groups of children so that we can better understand who we are covering and the appropriate approach required for each situation. So let us begin with the general group, the children in need of special protection or CNSPs. As defined po under the Executive Order number 79 series of 2024 or entitled Establishing the Mahalin at Kalingain Ating Mga Bata or Makabata Program and Institutionalizing the Makabata Helpline 1383. Under this EO, the CNSPs refer to persons below 18 years old or those 18 years old and above who are unable to fully care for themselves due to physical or mental disability or conditions and who are vulnerable to or are victims of abuse, neglect, exploitation, cruelty, discrimination, violence, and other similar circumstances. This includes, among others, children affected by child labor, online sexual abuse or exploitation of children or OSAEC, or child sexual abuse or exploitation materials, CSAM, child trafficking, and other situations that seriously threaten a child's survival, protection, and development. CNSPs also include children in conflict with the law, children living in alternative care, and children living with human deficiency virus or HIV. Because of their circumstances, these children require a more careful, sensitive, and responsible approach in media coverage to ensure that reporting does not cause further harm, expose them to stigma, or result in re-victimization. In not so many words, no, victims of online sexual abuse or exploitation of children and child sexual abuse or exploitation material other known as OSAIC-CSAM, must have their identities and personal information kept confidential to prevent long-term trauma, interference with investigations, bullying, discrimination, and unwanted attention. Vulnerable children who have experienced abuse or neglect often lack parental support. So social workers may communicate with the media about the services provided, especially when parents are absent or the child refuses interviews. It is essential that any interviews or interactions occur in a physical safe environment with emotional support for the child. Professionals should also consult reliable sources to fully understand the issues affecting these children, proper handling and treatment, and appropriate engagement methods. Lastly, all concerns should be coordinated with or reported to law enforcement agencies to ensure proper protection and action. Now we go to the children in situations of armed conflict or child protection in emergencies. Hindi nyo po na itatanong, ang nag-trigger din talaga sa revision of the Guide for Media Practitioners is the discussion during a communication workshop way back, I think in 2022, discussing the protection of children in situations of armed conflict or child protection in emergencies. Any form of media engagement with children is not allowed as this is against their best interest pagdating po sa children in situations of armed conflict. Do not insist on interviews as only authorized officials are allowed access to them and only social workers are qualified to decide for them under these circumstances. Considering the gravity of the situations that these children are in, the ability to provide assent may also be impeded or affected. In such cases, ensure that they are handled with utmost sensitivity. Consult existing policies such as the Republic Act number 11188 and its implementing rules and regulations for special protocols on handling children in situations of armed conflict and children in emergency situations. Rescued children in armed conflict shall not be used for any political propaganda nor be unnecessarily exposed to media. Take extra precaution to prevent retraumatization. Now we proceed with children living in marginalized situations. Girl children and children of diverse SOGSC who are subjected to gender-based discrimination as well as children with intersecting conditions of marginalization brought about by intersecting marginalized identities such as ethnicity, disability, religion, socioeconomic conditions, geographic isolation, among other factors, requires special interventions for them to be socially included. When covering children belonging to these categories, let us remember that it is crucial to consider various factors that intersect in their lives. Special attention should also be given to specific groups such as children affected by displacement, those at risk, children involved in substance abuse, indigenous children, children with disabilities, and those seeking refuge. Their individual rights must be respected, and interactions with them should typically be supervised by authorized professionals, particularly social workers. To better understand the situations of children belonging to these social categories, it is best to consider their households and communities as context. When writing about or featuring children in shelters, always capture the interventions that are being provided to divert them from their situations. To cap off our discussion for today on the Guide for Media, we just want to provide you the key takeaways. The guide is intended to help media practitioners, social media content creators, and producers in developing and producing content that promotes the rights of children and protects them from all forms of harm or danger by ensuring the utmost consideration and sensitivity to children's vulnerability and special needs. Remember to secure the parents' or guardian's consent or the registered social worker's consent in case both are not present, as well as the child's assent prior to any media interaction and all throughout the process of content production and publication. Time sensitivity or urgency of the content should not be used to justify non-compliance with the guide. Take advantage of opportunities to engage sectors that provide services to children in dialogues and knowledge sharing, and raise actual concerns with relevant government agencies. Uh, just to To summarize everything, no, we would also like to emphasize that this guide is recommendatory in nature. It is intended to promote ethical, child rights-based reporting and serve as a practical reference for media practitioners. It does not impose new legal obligations or penalties. However, if the rights of a child are violated, tandaan po natin that applicable Philippine laws and regulations may still apply. The investigation, enforcement, and imposition of sanctions are the mandate of the appropriate law enforcement agencies and regulatory agencies, not the Council for the Welfare of Children. CWC's role is to provide policy guidance, coordinate child rights initiatives, and advocate for the promotion and protection of children's rights. Isang makabatang araw po sa inyong lahat at maraming maraming salamat po sa inyong oras.